Hello everyone and welcome back to the RICM Computer Museum. My name is Sam, and today we're taking a look at another computer from the warehouse. And this is the NeXTcube that was released from NeXTcomputer Inc. in about 1990. It was discontinued in about 1993. Now initially this computer was sold for about $6,500 all the way up to $10,000. Now Steve Jobs, who was one of the co-founders of Apple, had been ousted from his company. When he was ousted from that company, he formed NeXT Inc., which built this machine. Now this computer was not geared towards the average consumer like his other earlier Apple products. This is geared more towards the high-end education market as well as the business professional, which hence the high price tag of about $10,000. Now early reviews for the system praised the machine because it had built-in Ethernet and email capabilities long before it became an industry standard. Now the reason this computer is very significant is because when Steve Jobs would later return to Apple in 1997, Apple would absorb NeXT Inc. and as well as all the technology. So all the technology that was developed in the NeXTcube was later brought to Apple products that began around 1997, 1998. But the most important aspect of the NeXTcube that was brought to Apple products later on wasn't the hardware itself, but in the software. See, Apple Computer's operating system was not really finicky, but it wasn't very well organized, and there were numerous problems and complaints with it, despite Apple's attempts to fix it. So Apple would then go on to use NeXTSTEP as the basis for OS X and all the later iOS operating systems that were implemented in almost all of its later products. So in a way, modern Macs have more in common with the NeXTcube than its own predecessors earlier in the Apple line. So because the NeXT workstation has such a high price tag, these aren't very common to find today, and they are still quite pricey, though you're not going to be spending $10,000 on one of these machines if you find them. So this NeXT station that we have right here came from Boston University. Again, universities, colleges, and things like that would be using these computers in their laboratories and not really necessarily in their classrooms. So I doubt there was a whole lab filled with these computers. They probably had one or two because they were so expensive. So finding one of these maybe out in the wild or buying from another collector is probably going to be pretty rare for you to find. The museum itself has two of these. One of the NeXTcubes that the museum has was actually sent to be used in the show Halt and Catch Fire. And that computer is actually back with us now, and we are working on to try to get it running and operational. So once again, the value of this machine isn't necessarily the fact that it was a NeXT computer or the company NeXT itself. It is what NeXT computer would later bring to Apple computers, because of course NeXT computer is not around anymore. So that's it, guys. Just want to take a quick look at this pretty rare and expensive computer from the early 90s, which is very historically significant in terms of computing and Apple computers as well. So as always, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And as always, we'll see you again soon.